I have just started the recording. Okay, okay, that is fine. Okay, okay, sure. Okay, okay. Sami, we will just go through a quick overview of what SAP UI5 is all about. Okay, so that you will get some idea. We can get started with the UI5 development. Okay. Before getting into UI5 topic, I wanted to give you a little bit overview of web development. Okay, so what are the technologies which we basically use for web development is we use HTML. It's a markup language. Okay, with HTML you will be able to only create layouts or so-called static web pages. Okay, so what you can do is you can just have a table with the fixed values, or you can have an input field with the values fixed on it. Something of that sort. Okay, now say when I click on some action, I wanted something to trigger. I wanted interaction. Okay, so that was not possible to handle with the HTML. HTML is just a markup language. It will say whatever it has. Which one? It's a non-static. Yeah, it's static. Yes, yes, yes. We don't have that kind of validations. Okay, so also I wanted to process something. I wanted to do some calculation, or I wanted to implement some logic. Okay, I wanted to retrieve some information from the database and I wanted to display it on the screen. So this type of option we do not have with the HTML. Okay, so we needed a scripting languages. So the most widely used scripting language is JavaScript. Okay, so this is a client-side script. It runs on the browser. Okay, your browser is actually capable of decoding what is written within the script, and you will be able to perform some operations within the browser itself. Okay, if you wanted to get it connected to the database, you can just open a connection to a database, then you can retrieve information from that. Okay, then for the purpose of styling, we have this cascaded style sheets. Yeah, CSS, we call it CSS in short. Cascading style sheet. So that is what it is called, CSS. Okay, so for web development, these are some of the technologies on which you should have some basic knowledge. Okay, if you're going for a simple web development, you should have a deep knowledge on these things. Okay, but what we are doing is we are just using the framework to create a web page. Okay, so it is sufficient that if we know the function calls or some standard JavaScript processing, how do you process arrays, how do you loop, some basic knowledge is sufficient. Array is similar to internal tables in ABAP. Okay, so I will tell you what are the basic operations which we do in our day-to-day life. Okay, we create or update or delete record or modify the data. Okay, how do we modify it? We have it in variables or we have it in an internal table. Okay, so variable is same here in JavaScript also. What we call internal table, we will call it here as an array. Then what are, yeah, then what are the thing you do in with internal tables? you will just loop it or you will read from it. Similarly, we have to loop it here also. We have if else condition, that is a control statement which is common for all languages. Okay, it is to control the flow of the program. No, that differs. Syntax differs from languages to language. Okay, I'm just trying to make you understand the concept. Array is similar to internal table. Okay, the way I define internal table in ABAP is different from the way I am. Yes, I am recording. Okay, so that is different. Okay, so coming back to the point, these are some of the basic technologies which someone should know for for understanding this web development. Okay, so SAP has taken all these technologies. These are mainly open standards. Okay, no company claims them to be their property. Open source or open standards, anything same. Okay, so these are something which you should know for basic understanding of a website. Okay, basically we call this HTML as an umbrella technology. Yeah, why? Because hey, let's just hold on a minute. We call this as an umbrella technology. Why? Because yeah, uh, yeah. Why? Because it does not exist alone. Exist alone. With HTML, you can only create a static page. You will not be able to create a functionality. Okay, so it has to work with different languages like scripts, jQuery, CSS, for a complete web page or Ajax. Okay, so it has to work along with other technologies also. Okay, so there were so many before the standard HTML. Okay, now there were some innovations in the HTML. Okay, they have innovation in the HTML and they call it as a HTML5. Okay, now we have this video tag, audio tag. Now we have to make a division tag and then we have to mark it as a footer, header, and all those divisions we have to do. Okay, now any web page you take, you have this header, you have a content area, you have a sidebar, you have a footer, right? So we got each and every tag for them. Okay, so these are some of the innovations which came along with HTML5. Okay, so what SAP has done is taking these things into consideration along with the other programming languages. SAP decided to create a library, okay, which can be used as a which can be used by us to create the web page. Okay, so this is completely a client-side component. You do not need any browser access at all. Sorry, any server access at all. Okay, so this makes it easy for the SAP to deploy SAP UI5 on top of all of their products. Okay, so there is no server-side component for this architecture. Everything is completely a client-side. Okay, so you only interact with the server for the data. Those data are now made available through OData services. Okay, so OData, when we'll get into the OData, I will tell you that. Okay, because now you don't have to know how much data on OData. No, just like ODBC, JDBC connectivity, OData provides us services in a format that web browser understands. Okay, so coming back, this is completely a client side. Okay, I don't have any dependency with the server. So what I can do, yeah, yeah, I don't need any server. Okay, I can deploy this solution on top of ECC system or HANA system or business on demand or any other system I wanted. Okay. Yes. Yes. Of course. Yes, it's a platform independent. Okay. So it is open and flexible. Why? Because UI5 is based upon the open source softwares like HTML, JavaScript, OData, and all those things. Okay, so no company is going to claim that this product belongs to them. Okay, so this is open. So whenever we get update on some other technology which UI5 is using, we also get the same thing. Okay, also since we are not depending upon any backend systems, when update is required, SAP can produce the updates. Okay, now say for web and drawback, there is some update and they have to wait till this enhancement package for the ECC system to come. They cannot immediately deploy it. Okay, but for UI5 they can immediately deploy it as a patches because the library is going to get some more functionality, which is now we're going to affect the backend systems, right? See, if they're getting some upgrade for web and drawback, SAP will not be able to provide the update that for that particular alone. When he comes up with the next enhancement package, he gives that update. Okay, so there is a dependency. Yes. But in AI5, we don't have the dependency upon any software. It's not depending upon anyone. So when and where I get the update, I will just go on and release the update. Okay. So like I said, for a web developer, you need this which is HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Okay. With HTML, we don't do much of our programming with HTML or CSS. Okay, because what we needed was already developed by the framework. Only when we wanted to change how a control should appear, or when we wanted to change the color of the existing one, or when we wanted to override the existing style with our style, we are going to use it. Okay. Other than that, yes. Okay. So however a web page should be that is developed by a framework. On the top of the framework, we have a functionality and our layout. Okay. So we don't have to worry much about the HTML or CSS here. A basic understanding is sufficient. We bring in the styles concept only when we wanted to override the styles. Okay. Okay. Now, see for the example, you are able to see my screen right. Okay. In the purchase order, we have some buttons like new, edit, delete, and so on. Okay. These are standard styles. Now I want the button to look in a different color. I can add my own style and I can add it so that the button will appear whenever I create a button, that button will appear in the particular format. Particular color. Okay. Other than that, we will be widely using JavaScript. Okay. Okay, fine. Other than that, we will be having, okay. Other than that, we will be using JavaScript widely. Okay. So, I have to mention about jQuery here. Okay. So jQuery is nothing but a bundle of JavaScript libraries. Okay, which makes the JavaScript code easier and efficient to access. Okay, it's like a wrapper for the JavaScript libraries. Okay, SAP, the jQuery is the core of the SAP UI5. Okay, we have included everything what is there in the jQuery. We have included everything is what is there in the jQuery. Yeah, everything whatever is there in the jQuery programming language. Yes. Okay, initially we have this JavaScript functionalities. We wrap this into a library called jQuery so that we can access it faster and efficiently. Okay, so this jQuery is the core foundation for the SAP UI5. Okay, whatever is there in the SAP UI5, whatever is there in jQuery, we have included everything, and on top of that, we have added our own functionalities, which we believe necessary for the business application, not for a normal web page. Okay, so business application should be a formal, right? Okay, so here we've taken everything except other than things from jQuery. Okay, one is their capabilities, another one is their control capabilities. Yeah, same is how a website should appear. Okay, so from jQuery, we haven't taken two things. Other than that, we have included everything in from jQuery library. Okay, the what are the two things which we missed out is one is UI. Okay, we wanted our buttons, our input field, our table to appear in a way which we desire. Okay, not how the jQuery appears, not how it appears in jQuery. Why? Because we have a legacy to maintain. We already have a bundle of portal applications. Okay, we have already a bundle of Web Pro pages, BSP pages. Our portal has a particular theme. Okay, so when we introduce a new framework, we wanted it to be inconsistent with the other frameworks which are already available. Okay, so whatever the theming capabilities which we already have for portal, the same thing we are having here, and the UI control was developed by us. So that, yeah, we are not using the UI control provided by the jQuery library. We have created our own UI control so that whatever the UI which we are creating will look consistent with the existing web applications. Okay. So these are the two things which we did. Okay. So other benefit which we have with UI5 is third-party JavaScript integration. Okay, which means everything from now on will be a JavaScript file. Just hold on for a minute. Okay, everything from now on, whatever the functionality which we will be writing will be a JavaScript file. Okay. Say for example, some third-party service provider is providing some functionality. Say for example, somebody is setting a function for calculator, like the file which will do for addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. If I want that functionality, I can simply buy that function library from you. Then I can include it in my own project and I can use it. Yes, I can include it and use it, just like function modules. Okay, so this is not necessarily I have to develop it. Somebody can develop it, but it has to be a JavaScript one. Okay. Sorry, come again. Yeah. Here we don't have a concept of Z. No, we don't have a concept of Z. Okay, we won't be able to edit whatever the library provided by SAP. Other than whatever we wanted to do, we can do it by ourselves. Okay. Now, what I'm trying to say is, I'm working in a particular company. Okay. Infosys is providing some functionality. Okay. If it is provided in the form of JavaScript, I can just buy it from you. Then I can my application and I can use it. Okay. So I will tell you what exactly it is. Okay, now we are targeting multiple devices now. Earlier we supported only Apple iOS for mobile applications. Okay, earlier we supported only Apple iOS. Yeah, Apple OS, iPhone. Okay, now we wanted to target multiple devices. Now we also provide support for any form of smartphones or tablets. Okay. Also, we wanted our application to work fine in browsers, I mean desktop, as well as in the phones, mobile phones. Okay. So SAP has introduced some library function for this adaptation, device adaptation. Okay. So we have this functionality for this one. Okay. So here are some of the technologies which we are using it. Okay, like I said, HTML is the backbone for a web page. Okay, we need JavaScript for interaction. Yeah, bundle of JavaScript library is what we call jQuery. Then for the styling, we use cascade style sheet. Then for the backend data, we use more data connectivity. Okay, so now how are you fetching data in your Aadhaar? Yeah, yeah, you have this table, you write the select statement. How it works? Not like that. We are using any type of database. We support any type of database in the backend. No, nowadays we won't be going for Oracle. Oracle will be which they have, it is a choice of the vendor. Okay. See, Mahendra, if interested in using Sybase database, he can use Sybase database. If he is interested in using Oracle, he can use Oracle database. Okay, so we don't have any, so SAP doesn't have any influence on that. SAP cannot say Mahindra and Mahindra, we use only Oracle database. Yeah. So what you know something called OpenSQL in our system. Okay. So it is based upon this OData connectivity. Sorry, ODBC connectivity. Yeah. Okay. So what exactly it means is it's an open database interface. No, no, not talking about OWT, I'm talking about ODBC. No, no, here that's no option called ODBC. I'm explaining the architecture of a standard ECC system. Okay, so whenever we write a select statement, irrespective of whatever is there in the backend, it can be Oracle, it can be Sybase, or it can be MySQL, any database server. Okay, so what will happen? My OpenSQL, whatever the statement, SQL statement which I am writing, will be converted into the format which the backend will understand. Okay, that's how I am able to access the data from the database. Okay, so now that's the intermediate layer which should be doing this job. So that is what we call as a ODBC connectivity. That is the interface which is doing the job of converting it into open SQL into any type of interface, the backend. Yeah. No, NetSQL we will not be using. Okay. But we are directly writing the SQL statement in the language which database is installed, then it is NetSQL. Okay, whenever I am writing an SQL statement which is provided by SAP, it is an open SQL. Okay, what happens is open SQL will be encoded in the native SQL, then native SQL will convert the data from the backend system and it will provide it back. So for this there has to be some interface. Okay, so the interface is called the ODBC interface, open database connectivity. Okay, so this provides the options of multiple backend systems. Which one? ODBC. Yeah. Now what is the connectivity database? That's what I'm saying. Yes. Okay. So yeah. So this is what we had traditionally. Okay. But nowadays with the innovations in devices, smartphone, tablets and all, there is a necessity that we want to put everything on web. Okay. Now with the innovation in these devices like mobile phones, okay, smartphones, this technology. Now people are interested, they wanted everything on the web. They wanted everything to be accessible on the web. Okay. Now so there is a need for web applications. Okay. So now we needed the data to be accessed by the web directly instead of connecting to an application layer. Then this application layer connects to the backend system. Then this backend system provides the data to the application layer. Then the application layer provides the data to the presentation layer. Okay, so they have created this new type of interface which was initially created by Microsoft. Okay, so website understands the format of XML. Okay, so they create an interface in a way that this interface will access the data from the database server, irrespective of any type of database it be. Access the data from the database server, then provide the database server in the format of XML to the browser itself. Okay, our client application runs on the browser. It will directly consume the data from the browser. Okay, so this service is called as OData. Okay, nowadays, so we have this gateway server. What gateway server is, we get the data from our system. Now we have the gateway servers. Okay. Yeah. Now we have gateway server. What it will do is it will retrieve the data from our ECC system or HANA or whatever it is. Yeah, it's a middleware kind. Okay, it will retrieve the data from the ECC system. Then it will export the data in the form of OData, so that the data will be available in the browser now and we will be able to consume it. Okay. Then we have this OpenAjax. Yeah, OpenAjax we mainly use it for the interoperability. Okay. Now say we have multiple sections on our web page. Okay. Now say for example I am opening my website, teamapp.com. A web page can contain multiple sections. Okay. Look into the diagram here only. Here we have one section. Here we have another section in this graph. Here we have another section table. Okay, often these things are called as widgets. Okay, a part. Okay, now I want one part to integrate with another part. Okay, for this purpose, it uses OpenAjax. Much about that. Okay. So then, for the sake of this drawing this chart, bar diagrams, spice, donut and all, there is a web technology called data-driven docs. They call it as 3D, D3. Okay, yeah, D3. Yeah, D3.js. Okay, for training purposes, SAP uses the language called less. Okay, done. Less. Less. Yeah, D3. These are the technologies which are used by the SAP to create this product. Hello. So these are the technologies which are used by SAP to create this product. Okay. On top of this, we have added our own functionality for the library. Yeah. So HTML5, jQuery, CSS, OData, Ajax. These are some of the technology used by the SAP to create a product UI5. Okay. Apart from this, what are the functionality which we think is needed? We have added in the form of the UI5 library. Okay. The thing is that for whatever the technologies which we have seen here are used by SAP for building this product. Okay. Apart from that, whatever is necessary for a business application, we have on our own library. Okay. Yeah, we have our own library. That is the SAP UI5 SDK. Okay. Now I will show you the architecture. Okay. So this is the architecture of SAP UI5. We do not have any server-side component over here. Whatever we have is a static web server. Referred to as a server. Okay, a backend. Hello. 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 Okay. These are the two major parts. One is UI5 libraries, another one is UI5 cores. Okay. So this UI5 library contains themes and control. Okay. It depends upon whether we are creating a mobile application or whether we are creating a desktop application. Okay. Based upon that, the necessary themes and the control library will be loaded. Okay. So this is the major part, UI5 core. Okay, I have already mentioned you that SAP UI5 was built on top of jQuery. Okay, so we have this component jQuery. Whatever is available within this programming language, we have taken it into the consideration. Okay, apart from that, whatever we feel it is necessary for our UI application, we have added it. Something like device adaptation, which I have already mentioned you. Okay, it has to work on, it has to be rendered on phone as well as it has to be rendered on the desktop. Okay, then we have the common functionality used as a utilities. Then we have this logger which is similar to application logging in ABAP. Then we have resources which will be used for the internationalization of text, models and all those things comes under this. Then we have this interaction. To handle the interaction we have these events. Hello. Okay, so I was already telling you ignore two things from the jQuery. One is our UI. Okay, other one is this theming capabilities. Your voice is too low. I am not able to hear you. I am not able to hear you. Yeah, now it's okay. 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 So, like I already mentioned, SAP UI5 was built on top of jQuery. Okay. So, apart from that, whatever the functionality which we thought was needed was added by us. So, we have our SAP jQuery plugins. So, in future, when some other thing wanted to be added by SAP, he will just add that plugin here. Okay. So, it is easily extensible. Okay. It can be easily extended. It can be easily extended. Okay. Now, I told you we include the theming capabilities and control libraries. Okay, so we have created our own control library. Okay, that we will be performing this data binding directly to the OData services. Then as it can set up some functionality to control this UI and directly from the web page. So other than that, we have this mobile adaptation. Okay, so these are something which are written by us explicitly. Okay, so why do we need all these things? Okay. One thing is we wanted to provide, we wanted to delight the user with the rich user experience. We wanted to delight the user with rich user experience. We wanted them to be happy to use the application. Okay. We wanted to, provide a rich user experience. Okay. He must feel like using the application. It also has to have the performance. Okay, performance was an issue with looking to adapt. Why? Because we never had this client side activity. Yeah, we never had this client side validation or client side activity for actions. Whenever I wanted to do anything in web program, it will always come to the server and then it will be processed in the server, then rendered back on the web page. Okay, so this is how it happened. Okay, the drawback which we have with web is we do not have a styling option. Wow, whatever the styles that are provided by the framework only that can be used. Okay, so SAP UI5, like I already told you, it's based upon open source. It is flexible. Okay. Uh, it also increases the productivity. Yes. You can easily create web application and deploy them. Okay. And also it is completely client side. Yeah, it's a completely client side. So performance is far better than the web product. This which belongs to me only. Okay. Based upon this standard web technology softwares. Okay. What I will do is, for your understanding, I will create a simple web page so that you will know how a web page looks, what is the HTML language. Okay. So I will create a simple web page with a functionality in it. Then I will add a functionality in it. Okay. When I click on the button, I will display a pop-up. Okay. After that, I will show you how to modularize this code by using separate files. Okay. Then I will create a UI5 application for the same. Okay. Everything I am going to do it in the normal notepad itself. I am not going to use the UI5 tool now. Yes. Okay. So let's create a folder. So let me go to the demo. Okay. Let's get the web page. Okay. The web page has the extension HTML, correct? Okay. So I'm going to create a HTML page. So I'm going to call this page as an index because in web technology, whenever we create a landing page, the first page which should be triggered, we call it as an index. Okay. I just sure. I'm just creating a folder in a desktop. Within the desktop, I'm just creating a folder. I have created a folder, and in the folder I have done this. Okay. Now I'm going to add some code in it. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to create a static web page. Okay. So the HTML page begins with the HTML tag and ends with the HTML tag. Okay. So this is called as a starting tag. This is called the ending tag. Ending tag is this. Okay. Then we have sections of the page. One is we get a section. This is a body section. Okay. Header section will contain the metadata. Like what are the applications, sorry, what are the files to be loaded? Okay. So what are the images and all those things? Body will get a show actual page. Header will contain the metadata, like what are the links to be loaded, what are the styles to be added. Your voice is too low again. Your voice is too low. Now even now it's too low. What is the content which we are seeing on the page? Later we have this metadata, like what are the links to be loaded. Okay. Okay. So uh, I'm just giving a paragraph of text. Okay. So we will run this in the Chrome browser. I didn't do anything. I just click on save. Okay. So you can use not notepad only for this one. You don't need to know all those things. I just wanted you to understand how the web page is created. Okay. So we have a web page. Okay. So whatever the content which you are seeing in this window will be coming from the body tag. Yes. Okay. Now this header will have the metadata information. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a label, input field, and a button. Okay. I'll just yeah. Okay. So what I have done here is I have created three controls: label, input, and button. Okay. I have provided the ID for label. ID is mandatory for each and every. You can give it by your choice. You can give it up your choice. Yeah. Yeah, you can give anything. Why can you use this? In later stage, if I wanted to read the input field, how do I read it? There may be any number of 10 input fields. Not like that. Okay, I can have n number of like first name, last name. Okay, so now I wanted to read the last name. How do I? This is the input field which I have to read. So it has to have an unique ID, right? So it is provided by the user. Okay, I have provided ID for each of them. I have entered what is the text that should appear for label. For input field, we are going to input the value, so there won't be any default text. A button I have created, and what is the text that should appear on the button? Okay. If you refresh the page, you will get this. Okay. Fill and submit button. Okay. So this is more or less a static web page. It does not perform any interaction. Now, yes, we have to use the JavaScript. We have to use the scripting language. So now when I have something over here and I click on submit, I want to perform some action. So I am going to introduce JavaScript. Okay. So JavaScript code is supposed to be written in the script tab so that the browser will understand the following set of code is going to be a JavaScript code. Okay. Can you be a bit louder because because I need response from you too. Yeah, now it's okay. Okay. So the script has to be included within the script tag. Okay. Now I am going to attach a function, event, or a function to a button, so that whenever a button is being clicked, this particular function will be triggered. Yeah. So I have this function submit off. Okay, I'm going to write the code for this function submit off. Hello? Okay. So I have created a function. Yeah. Now within this function, whenever I enter some value in the input field, when whatever the value I have entered in the input field, I want to read it. Okay. Yes. Okay. So for that I'm going to create a variable. Okay. So how we declare variables in our other is we use the keyword data. Similarly, in JavaScript we use the keyword called where. Okay. So yeah, we are doing JavaScript now. Okay. I'm just going to use the variable as input. Now I am going to read whatever the value is entered in the input field and I am going to store it in the variable input. For that, I am just going to write a piece of JavaScript code. Yes, yes, yes. It's standard. Okay. So whenever the value is entered in the input, it will be stored in an attribute called value. Whenever some value is entered in the input, yeah, it will be stored in the attribute called value. Okay, I'm specifying the name which input field should I read. Okay. Then concatenate some value. I am square was stored by me. Specify which input field. It's an identifier. Okay. Now I have its output. I have created a variable output. And for this variable output, I'm concatenating some text. You have enter concatenation. Here we use the operator plus. Just hold on for a minute. I'm receiving a call. Hello. Yeah. Hello. Hi, Sunny. I'm not able to hear you. Yeah. Now I'm able to hear clearly. What's happening? Why I'm losing your voice repeatedly? Okay. You don't have problem with headset because now the voice has gone low again. Yeah. Only when you do something I'm able to hear very clearly. Now it's a little bit dull. No. Yeah, now it is okay. Okay. So we will come back to our application. I have just created a variable output, and for the output variable, I have concatenated with some text. That I have entered some input, whatever the values that come to the input. Okay. I am throwing a pop-up. We have a standard function called alert, which will throw a pop-up. Yes, that will trigger the pop-up. Alert will trigger the pop-up. Okay, with the pop-up, I will give this text, whatever is the output. Yes. So whatever we call content in our app, we call it here as a function. Okay, so this is a standard function which will trigger the pop-up. So I am providing input as what is the text that has to appear in the pop-up. Okay, so I will show it you in the debugger also. So for debugging, we have to use the debugger. Yes. Okay. So this is how to install the developer tool. Okay. I have reloaded the then I press F12. Okay, now I will open something in my window. No, that is not the output. This is the developer panel. Debugging. So for that I have to press F12. Okay, when I press F12, I will get this window. Okay, now I have the manual. Submit. Now my function will get stopped with the debugger. Okay. See? Yeah, for that we have F5, F6, F7, right? Here we have this step-by-step execution, which is F10. F10. That we have F5, no? Yeah, here we have F10 and this button, the blue color one. That is again. As we follow the button, we will go. Sorry, we will go to the next debugging point. Okay. Yes. So I'm declaring a variable input. Okay. So in the input field, I'm going to get the ID with value. Whatever I have entered, I got it. Now for output, I'm concatenating whatever is the input. Yeah. Just hold on a minute. Hello. Okay, பால் இருந்தா வாங்கிட்டு வாங்க. அதுக்கு வாங்கிட்டு வாங்க. காலேஜ் இருந்தா வாங்கிட்டு வாங்க. அவங்களுக்கு வாங்கிட்டு வாங்க. Okay. Actually. Okay. Now we are going to just trigger this output. So I got the pop-up here. Okay. So we just create some interaction in the web page. Okay. Okay. So we have yes. When I click on execute, it will come. Okay. Earlier, with all the browsers, the pop-up used to come in a different window. Okay, now the browser they have updated it in this way. It will just come as a notification. Okay. So we just saw a simple web page which performs some action. Okay. Now we can perform the some button it stores in the database. Now we have seen a simple web page which performs an interaction. Okay. Now this is a web page. This is a simple web page which we created now. Okay. But when you are creating a web application for a business, there can be number of functionalities. Say 500,000 lines of code. Yeah. You cannot write all of them in just one file. have to modularize it. So you have to modularize it. Yeah, modularize. Okay, so that we can reuse the function in different pages. Also, we can reduce the code complexity. Code complexity. Okay, so what I'm going to do, what are the functions which we have here? I'm going to create in a separate file. Okay, separate JavaScript file. Then I'm going to use the JavaScript file over here. Okay. Yeah, I will declare the file in the header level. So this is the folder where I have created a project. I am creating one more file called function.js. Okay, I have created a file called JavaScript file with the extension JS, and I have named it as a function. Okay, I am going to store the function over here. Excuse me. Yeah, I just need to open. Now I have installed Notepad++. I have installed Notepad++. Okay, you can also open it in Notepad. It's like this. Okay. Yeah, I just opened it. I pasted it, copy and pasted it over here. Since I have this formatting option over here, so I use this one so that I can understand the code better. Okay. So I have included my functions in a separate file. Likewise, I can include any number of functions in this file. Yeah. Just like that, I can add, yes, function, add off, right? Then I can have a function, subtract, off. Okay. So this is what I was mentioning as the name of Java third party JavaScript interaction. Okay. So for this I have this function file, some operation I can just include the file in my UI5 library and I can use it. Okay. So, so I have this function. Now I'm just going to provide the reference function. Okay. So what I will do, I will just give the source attribute. Yes. Okay. I'm saying system. Just look in the same directory where my index.html file is there. Look in the same directory where my index.html is there. Within the same folder, there will be a file called function. Just load it. Okay. So still it is working, right? Yeah, same problem will come because I have this in a different file. Then I have included the function. So the left hand this function goes internally. Okay, then I click on the button. My browser will check whether this function is implemented anywhere. Then it will execute that function. Okay, so here we just did a simple function. Okay, likewise, we can have n number of functionalities. Okay, n number of separate files. Sure? Yes, yes, yes. Yes. Yes, of course. Okay. So collection of these JavaScript files is called as a library. Which one? Yes, jQuery. Okay, jQuery is collection of JavaScript libraries. Okay, collection of individual JavaScript files is called JavaScript library. Okay, so we can have function.js file, add.js file, subtract.js file, multiply.js file. When I group all to this color, I get a library called calculator. Okay, so I have this library. You understand what is a library? What is JavaScript file? Okay, now in SAP UI5, SAP has created one library using which we can create our web page. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to use the library which is provided by the SAP. Okay. Um, there's a particular URL where SAP has hosted their libraries. Okay. So, in my web page, whichever I am creating, I am going to show what are the functionalities which is there in my web page, whichever I am creating here, I am going to use what are the functions which are there in this particular URL. Yes. Okay, so SAP has given me a set of files which I can use for my UI development. I'm just no, this is some I know some JavaScript link. Okay, here I'm just loading this particular library instead of my functions custom defined. Instead of that, I'm using the functions which is provided by SAP. Okay. Then I'm adding some other parameters like what is the theme I have to use, what are the theme of library in the particular location I have to do. So I have added my libraries. Okay. Now, we are not going to use the standard markup language for our control development. Okay. We have our own control libraries. Have you worked on dynamic programming in web and product? Yeah, you have created text dynamically, right? Yeah. Okay. 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 See, I just wanted you to know the concept. Okay. With dynamic programming in web and product, what happened is you had class for each and everything. Okay. When you instantiate the class, you get that UI. Okay. Likewise, here for each and every control, when I say control, it's a UI element. Okay. It is called as control. So when I create there is a class for each and every UI element or control. Whenever I instantiate the class, a UI element will be created for me. Okay. So that is something we are going to do. Okay. For this UI element, SAP has created a library. Okay. I will show you the library on the screen. You are able to see my screen, right? Here I have something called SAP core libraries. Within my project, within my one of my UI5 project I'm doing here. Okay. So these are JavaScript files. Okay, here I have has to load this particular library for me. So if you see in the code, I have has to load SAP comments. Why? Because with this particular library, I have the accordion button, then we have file upload, image, label. So the basic requirements I have this particular library. Okay. Now each and everything of this is a class. Now if we expand label, we are able to see something is C, right? Okay, it's a constructor method for the class. So when you are instantiating, you are supposed to call the constructor method, right? Okay. Likewise, each and every class will have a constructor method. So we call this constructor method and we pass what are the parameters which are required. So we have this class sap.ui.common.label. We create an instance for this class and we pass what are the required parameters. Okay. So if you open this is a developer guide which is provided by SAP itself. Okay. Here for each and every control, you get the reference of what are the properties that are there in that control. Okay. In Web and Drop app, when you create a control, you get the property tabs in the right corner. So you get to know what are the possible properties you can manipulate. Here you don't have that option. You don't have this layout creator. Yes. Here I can check what are the properties. Yeah, for the table. This is for table. Now, when you are just in the initial stage of your understanding, you will feel it like a Himalayan task. When you go and start developing your controls, your applications, when you get, starting getting practice, you will understand it easily. Okay, because this is the first time you are seeing it. Okay. I cannot, just introduce all the knowledge in you in the first session itself. Okay. Yeah. So here is a label control. You get this reference. Okay. Also, you have the code, sample code here, like how to create a label, how to add the label with the bold option. Yeah. Just click on the link. Okay. It will show you the source code. Likewise, for each and every control, we have the examples to how to use it, as well as we have this settings guide, like what are the settings we need to pass. Okay. So I told you ID is the mandatory, right? Apart from that, what is the property I have to pass? Yeah, I have to pass the text. See, here I have passed what is the text that should appear for the label, right? And what is the ID for the label, right? I have created it. Yes, exactly. Okay. Now I am going to create a label UI element. Okay, since it is a JavaScript class, I have write it plus tag. Okay. So script tag can be written anywhere, even in the header or within the body. Okay. I will write it within the header only. Yeah. I am writing it within the header. We use star right for command. We use double slash. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm going to create a label control. So remember that I told you when I wanted to create a UI element, I wanted to instantiate that class. Okay. Now here I have class, right? SAP.UI.Commons. Create object to instantiate. Yeah. Here we use the keyword new. New, new, NEW. Okay, there we use the keyword create object for instantiating. Here I use the object new. Instantiate this particular class. Okay, now for this label, I have to pass two things. One is ID, another is settings. Settings include one of its properties. Okay, if you look at the API of this API documentation, there will be a get set method for each of the property. Like get text set text, get text set with. Okay, like see, you are the one like the one you are seeing here, set text. Now, if you want to know what is there in the label, I can just use label dot get text to replace the value back from that. Likewise, for every property, you have the get method. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give ID, then I'm going to give the settings. Since settings, there can be multiple settings we use to cover it in the curly brackets. Okay. I'm just giving the ID as name, the one which you have given here. For an understanding, so that I'm just creating the same label. Okay. Now in the settings, yes, you have the text, right? Now I want to tell you what is the text that's appeared. So I'm just setting this text property. Name. Okay. Now, I have created the label control. Okay. Label control. Okay, I have created a label element now. Okay, now I will make this label. Okay, I have created the label, right? Okay. Now, in the same way, I am going to create a control for input field. Okay. The same library is for comments. Comments. In the same library, you will see a text field. Okay. So this is the input field. Now what we are supposed to instantiate it. Right? So I have got the path over there. I have given the path. Then what are the two things I am supposed to give? ID, settings. Obviously we don't have any settings over here. So let's put something that you should get it. If I want to put some default value, I can put it over here. Okay. Okay. Then I'm just going to give the ID. So I have given the ID here. Okay. Now I have created my input field, right? It's done. Now I'm going to create the label, sorry, button. What you are calling? Sunny. Okay, okay. Okay. So now you tell me how to create the button. So here we have this button class. When you click on this constructor, you have this code. Just copy this, and I have lost your voice. I'm getting some sort of noise. Hello? Okay. Now you tell me how to create a button. Tell me how to create a button. Okay, I have this button class here. I am not able to hear you, Sunny. Yeah. I just publish it now just to see the file, like what is the library path. Okay. Can you speak louder? I'm not able to hear you. Okay. I have idea. Okay. Yeah, yeah. Then what's the one thing I have to do here? For a button that is text, right? No, no, okay. Yeah. For a button. So whatever the text appear over here, that will be okay. So it is a text property. So yes, submit. Okay. For this button, I have attached an event. Okay. For this button, I have attached an event handler method, right? Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to horizontally cable method was there, no? Yeah. Here we have something called attached. Okay. Hello. Okay. See, I told you that for each and every property we will have a get set method. Likewise, to apply the event handler method to a button, we have a method called attach plus. Okay. So I just like a this is the instance, right? I think you have had some problem with the get set because I'm not able to hear you. Yeah. Yeah, now it's okay. Now it is okay. Okay, so what I'm doing, I told you right, for each and every property, we have the get set method. Okay, likewise, For attaching even to this button, I have a method called attach plus. So I will just go on and add this attach plus with this button. Okay. So this is nothing like this is an instance because we are calling this method. Okay. Here, what is the functionality that should get executed? Yeah. I want my function to be executed is okay. The same operation. Okay. What we did? We read the input field, then we attach some text along with it, then we throw the pop-up. Okay. So that's creating the variable for input field. Okay. Now the input field is we have created a control for the input field, right? Using the instance of the same input field, we can read the data. Now, now if you see here for the text field, we have a get called get value of. Okay, earlier we had that. We had that document of get element by ID. Okay, similarly, we have using the input field object and getting the value in it. Okay, then I am concatenating some value to it. Okay, then I am throwing it in the pop-up. Right? Okay. Now, what I will do is I will create placeholders for this. Okay. Before creating a placeholder, what I will create a matrix layout. You are familiar with matrix layout in Web, right? Yeah, it was the same concept here. Matrix layout, row by row. Okay, so I create a matrix layout. Then I will add all the elements to the matrix layout. Hello? Yeah. Okay, so I am going to create a matrix layout. So I have created the instance of this matrix layout. So what are the two things we have to provide? We have to provide the ID and the settings. Okay. I'm providing the ID as layout. Then I'm giving the settings layout fixed as false. You're following me? Hello? Okay. Now I have created the matrix layout, adding all the controls to the matrix layout. Okay. So to add controls, I have a function called create row. Create row functions I'm passing the label input then button. Okay, I'm just saying that I add all these controls within the first row. Okay. Now in the body tag I will create a placeholder. Okay. Actually I'm getting some sort of noise. Yeah, some sort of noise. Now it's okay. Okay. Okay, otherwise just remove the headset. Yeah, now it's okay. Okay. So what I have done is I have created a matrix layout. Then I have all the controls in the matrix layout. Then I have created a placeholder. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I am going to place my matrix layout in this particular placeholder. For I see the function place. Okay. I'm saying place it place where the ID is content. Okay, please for the place of I have used the ID as content. Okay. Okay, now move to the debugger here. Yeah, we are done with the web application. Okay, actually this is a UI5 application. Okay, now we will execute it on the. Okay, if you see here in the bottom, it is indicated that we are loading the resources from the HANA site. Okay, I will remove this default value. Something like that. Okay, so we have created the same layer which we had created earlier. Okay, now wait a minute, I will just show it in the debugger. I will put the page again. Okay, so I have created the debugger. Okay, I am pressing enter. So we are creating a layout. Then we are creating a label, button. Then we are attaching action to a button. Okay, I will place a next point here. So that when you click on the button, it will come out there. Okay, then within the layout, I have ordered all the other controls. Okay, if you go to the console and if you say whole layout, then what are the properties are there? We have one row. Okay, we have created only one row, right? Yeah. That's placing it in the content placeholder. Now we got our application. Now I'm writing some input value. Then I'm clicking on submit. Okay, now it triggers the functions which we have added for the button. So, declaring a variable input, you can see it on the right hand side. Okay, now for this input, we have a script for the input O input. You can label and see what are the variable property. Okay, so I have read the value, whatever I have got it. Then I am concatenating some text along to that. Then I am pop up. Okay, this is just a simple web development using UI5 controls. Okay, now we will use the actual tool to see how to create a UI5 application. Okay, so I have already opened my Eclipse. Okay, okay, okay. Now it will just take 5 more minutes. It will just take 5 more minutes. Okay, we will do it tomorrow. Okay. It will just take 5 minutes. Shall we do it? Okay. So now whatever the project which we have done, we will do it in the UI5. Okay. So I have to create a new project. Okay. So yeah, I'm doing it in Eclipse. Yes. Not like that. Okay. I just wanted to you to understand simple web page. That's why I did it in a normal notepad. Yeah, we have to directly techniques only. Okay, this is the tool for development. Okay. Okay. So I will just create an application project. In the result, you will be able to see option called SAP UI5 application development. Just select the application project and click on next. Okay. Provide the name for the project. Yeah, this is in Eclipse. Okay. Now here I have two options to load the library. Either I can load it for the desktop application or I can load it for the mobile application. Okay. Remember here I have loaded the comments. Yeah. So I am selecting the comments. Then I create which one? Yeah, yeah. Yes. Okay. So I am creating the project with the initial view. I am calling the view as a main view. Okay. Now here we have four different development perspectives. Okay. If you are familiar with JavaScript code, then you can use the JavaScript view. If you are familiar with any other languages like XML, JSON, or HTML, you can directly use that one. Okay. So throughout this course, we will be using the JavaScript view. Okay. So I have created my project. Okay. Now, if you see here, I have three files. One is index, one is controller, and another one is view file. Okay. So these two files, controller and view file, this is similar to view controller in web app. Okay, web app, we have that hookup methods and our custom functionality in the same controller itself. Here we have it as a different files. That's it. So these two constitute the view controller in web pro. So far we haven't created the component controller. It is not relevant for this application. Okay. Now we have the syntax file created. We have loaded the UI5 resources here, right? This URL. Okay. Here the framework have already loaded it. Okay. So it has already loaded the library which it has to load by default. The theme which has here we did it ourselves. Okay. Now same layout we will create it. Okay. Here you have to create the layout within the view. Okay. So within the method, within the view that there will be a function called create method. Hello. So within this create content function, we have to create our layout. So I just copy pasted the code whatever we did there. Okay. Now every method in the JavaScript is a functional methods. Okay. Yeah, functional methods. You have functional methods in ABAP, right? It can have only one returning parameter, no other exporting parameter or anything. So every JavaScript function is a returning sorry, it's a functional method. Okay, so I'm just going to return the value of layout. Okay, so now this when this function gets executed, it will create the layout. All the controls will be there in the layout. Then I'm returning the layout back in the calling program. Okay, then what we did is we return every functionality in a single file. Here, for the sake of modularization, we create the layout in a file called view. Okay. Okay. So here in this particular for development which we did, we created every control in the same file, right? We did every control development, layout, label, input, all in the same file as that of index file. Yeah. So for the sake of modularizing, whatever the UI elements we are creating, we will be creating it in a separate file called view. Then include the file view in the index file. Okay. So whatever the layout I wanted, I have created it in a separate view. Then I have included the index view here. Yes. How to? Here. The same. Okay. Yeah. So this is the debugger for JavaScript. Java. Yes, we have options, but I always prefer this one. We are going to execute it in the browser, right? My browser will be able to understand this. Yes. Yes, it's a JavaScript function for stopping at that point. Okay. So you understood the framework has a library by default, which we added manually. Right? Then I have created all the controls in the same index file. For the sake of modularizing, I am creating a separate view file, and within the view file I am creating the layout. Then I am including the view file in my index file. Okay. Then the framework itself has created a placeholder. Then it has placed that view in the placeholder. Okay. Now we will execute this one. I am going to execute it in the local Tomcat server. Yeah, I have installed it for you. No, that is not a error. It's actually loading the Tomcat server. I just copy the URL and execute it in Chrome browser. Okay. So we have the same layout, same functionality. Here. I'm not able to hear you. Yeah, I'm not able to hear you. Yeah. Okay, so I have any doubts? Okay, yes, yes, it will come. Yeah, okay, okay, sure. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, so tomorrow we will have JavaScript basics. Yeah, JavaScript basics from tomorrow. Okay, I have now given you introduction on UI5. We have say system in our case. Yeah, we have system, Eclipse system now. Yeah, we have the development environment. Then we created a simple web page initially. Then I have converted that web page into a UI5 application. Yeah, that is done. Then we created the same web page using Eclipse tool. Okay, still in the first unit we are pending with the JavaScript basics. Okay, so what I do, I will just send the code for these three. Then I will give you the URL whatever is there for the recording. Okay, you can go to the coding. After recording, yeah. Okay. Okay, it will be hosted in their GoToMeeting server. No, I only will get URL. Yes, but it will take at least one day, I guess. Because for SAP Connect, it takes one day to receive the URL. You know, obviously using SAP Connect. No, no, they have to host it. That's how it happens in SAP Connect. I don't know how it's happening here. Okay, okay, okay. I will just stop the recording now.